Hey, third grade. Hope you guys are doing all right. You should have just completed submitting your artwork to your portfolio. I can't wait to see that and check it out. When you are done today, you are going to be given a sketchbook. You guys have probably used sketchbooks before in Mrs. McDowell's class or Miss Scott's class or even my class. Okay, you're going to get something that looks kind of like this. Yours might say name across the top. It might not. Okay, but all the pages inside it should be the same. Okay, you need to put your name at the tippy top. And today we are going to work on the cover. And we are going to work on page 1. Okay, page 1 says draw a monster and draw an animal, a person, and a food with a mustache. So you'll be drawing 3 things for that one. Okay, on the cover you can draw whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me. Okay, you might want to think about a picture. Maybe you want to do something more abstract where you're using lines and shapes and colors. I would probably start with the pencil first. That way if you make a mistake you can always fix it. Same goes for your draw a monster, pencil, then you can color it in. Be sure to include a background. Okay, when we work on our sketchbooks, I expect it to look like something that you've been working on. I don't want it to just be a 1-minute quick drawing. I want it to be something that looks like a artwork that you intentionally made, okay, that you spent some time on. So draw a monster, draw an animal, a person, and a food with a mustache. Okay, I don't want us working ahead in our sketchbooks because this kind of helps me know like where we're at in it. Where if somebody's like halfway through their sketchbook and I assign it, and somebody's not halfway through it, then it puts Mr. Kelver in a tricky spot. So I'm only working this on the pages that Mr. Kelver asks us to work in. Okay, and you might be wondering, why do we have sketchbooks? Well, sketchbooks are things that artists like to use. First off, because it gives us practice. It's a great way to sit down and to try out new things like pencils, markers, crayons. If we painted our sketchbook, we won't paint in ours, but some artists do paint in their sketchbooks. It's a great way to kind of test those things out and make your skills better. It's like practice. It's like going to football or to dance. You don't just suit up and play a game or go to a dance recital. There's lots of practice that goes into that, so you get better and better and better. Just like in our sketchbooks. Okay, art is the same way. It's also a way to really work on our ideas. Artists don't typically just sit down and start drawing or painting on a canvas. Okay, they like to draw out their ideas. That way they don't make a mistake, or they don't make as many mistakes, because it costs money to make art. You have to pay for the supplies, you have to pay for your paper, your canvas. If you end up making mistakes and wasting those things, that's money that you're just throwing away. So typically artists like to work in sketchbooks that way. They can kind of have an idea of what they want their artwork to look like before they start it. And it's also a way, I like these ones for you guys because it's a great way to stretch your creativity. Okay, it's not something where I am showing you what to do. It's something where you guys can kind of come up with your own ideas. A lot of these sketchbook prompts are kind of open-ended, which means that there are lots of different ways that you can go about actually filling them out. So I'm really interested to see what you guys actually do to solve those problems. Lots of artists do keep sketchbooks. Here's one of mine. We can take just a second to flip through it, but this is one that I actually did in college for one of my classes. I had to keep a sketchbook and make something in it every day. So let's take a flip through that and we can check out some of the stuff that I've done.
Right, so here is the sketchbook that I made in college. Okay, obviously I spent a ton of time on this. You guys might not have quite as much time to work in your sketchbooks, but I still expect each one of your drawings that you make to look like a complete work of art. It shouldn't just be some little picture that takes up just a small part of your paper. Okay, if I ask you to draw something, make sure to include a background. Make sure to draw it with a pencil first. Make sure to color it afterwards. Okay, this was a sketchbook that I did in college where I also had to take notes on the things I was learning, and then I had to turn those notes that I took into works of art, actually. So you'll see that there's lots of like writing throughout my sketches too. Just a few pictures. This is kind of like a timeline. And what my project was is that I actually had to use a quote or something that a famous artist said, and I had to turn those quotes into different drawings. So this one says, "Art is not a thing, it is a way." And I picked or drew that person almost like a path in the road. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of quickly flip through these so you can kind of see what I was working on. You guys will be pretty limited to pencils and markers and crayons, whereas I had some chalk in here, I had some paint, but we don't want to use those in our sketchbooks because our sketchbooks, the paper isn't quite as nice as the one that's in here. This is actually funny I opened this up. This is actually the inspiration for our project that we just did. So my professor actually gave us 5 minutes to draw a self-portrait. And then he kind of taught us about all the different proportions. So those things that I taught you guys about, like where your eyes belong, where your nose belongs. And after he taught me that, then you can kind of see how my self-portrait turned out after that. So notice the big difference in my drawing. Okay, we should have had you guys do that too. I didn't think about that. But I bet you your new self-portrait that you guys drew is way, way, way better than what you're probably drawing before, because we learned so many different things about how to draw faces. Here's a Space Invader spaceship that I drew across from a Space Invader. That's an old video game. I think I'm almost done here. I'm not going to go through everything. This is a glue drawing that I made and then painted in. This is kind of hard to tell. It was made out of chalk, but it was a mountain that actually popped up when you opened up the page. So these are all just based on quotes, as I said. And a quote is just like a saying that somebody says. Now some of these pages, like these ones that have the black on them, this is a kind of art called blackout poetry, where you just pick some of the words on a page and create a poem out of them. And then you kind of have to cross out the other words somehow, and you turn it into a work of art. Here's a heart that I did. It kind of pops up off the page. Okay, so it actually pops up like a pop-up book. So make sure to take your time with those sketchbooks. I don't expect you to finish them today. All right, just work on the pages that I asked you. We'll keep on working on these all throughout the school year, and then we'll take them home at the end of the year. All right, can't wait to see what you guys are making. Bye.